Curiosity's not a sin, Harry, but you should exercise caution.
It's a time strand. You're fraternizing with the enemy.
There's the Cruciatus curse.
And we'll celebrate a boy who was kind and honest and brave and true, right to the very end.
Hey everyone, welcome to Hogwarts, a podcast. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Hogwarts, a podcast. We're doing chapter 35, Veritaserum. We have Mollie back again with us.
Hello.
And this is a loaded chapter, everybody. There's a lot here, and we are very excited to kind of dig into it. But before we do, I wanted to shout out some of the geography of our podcast a little bit. We've shouted out some individuals before. I want to shout out some locations that have given us some love and some listens. We'll start locally in the United States here, but California is our second leading. We're from Illinois, so obviously Illinois is where we're based. We have a lot of listens coming from Illinois, but it's only 12% of our total U.S. listens.
Oh, wow.
So we've been heard all across the country, and California is right there with 11%.
Very cool.
Of our United States listens. So a lot of love from those in California, specifically the Sacramento and Los Angeles regions. We are very thankful for you guys. And North Carolina and Texas both have 6% listens from those two states. So, we're really thankful for those. And we've been heard in all 50 states now, which is really cool.
That's
awesome. I think Hawaii was the last holdout. But we've been heard in Hawaii.
Nice.
I think quite a bit actually now. Now that they've discovered us, yeah, they're up there. So, thank you to everybody from across the United States for listening to us. It's crazy to think about our voices being heard in different states, some of which we've been to, some of which we've not.
Thank you, guys.
It's a really, really cool thing. And now the international listens, which I love because I'm an international traveler. Belgium. Shout out to Belgium.
Woo, woo.
They are our second leading country, packing in the listens. Very cool. Specifically, Brussels, the capital, is a lot of those listens. The area of Flanders is 54% of our Belgium listens come from Flanders.
Cool.
So that's really cool. Shout out to the United Kingdom, which, Harry Potter is kind of involved with the United Kingdom just a little bit, and the fact that it's completely located there. Anyway, so we have England with 69% of the listens in the United Kingdom area, Scotland with 19%, Wales with 12%, and Northern Ireland with about 1%. But so all parts of the United Kingdom have tuned in, and once again, I love Scotland personally. I love London too, and Liverpool. I like to travel, guys, but I love visiting all of those areas. We have some other awesome listens from Mexico, which Mexico City is the biggest bulk of those listens. Baja California, Quintana Roo, if you're familiar with the tourist destination in Mexico, the Cancun area. Yeah, guys, we've been heard all over the world. I think over 119 countries have tuned into this podcast.
That's awesome.
Everywhere from Hong Kong to Romania. I'm scrolling through the list here. Japan, Singapore, Israel, Jordan, Chile, and Uruguay, and Portugal. And the last couple that tuned in were really awesome. They were Uzbekistan, Fiji, Botswana, Ethiopia, St. Kitts and Nevis in the Caribbean,
cool,
Mauritius, Djibouti, Nicaragua, Kosovo, Jamaica, all over the world. Every continent has tuned in, and except for Antarctica. We'll get you soon. But guys, we really appreciate it. It's so cool to think that we're heard all over the world. We hope you're liking what you're listening to. Let us know. Please comment on Spotify, Twitter, Instagram. Let us know where you're from. I would love to know that. I'm a big geek about this, so let us know. I think there's a poll on Spotify, actually, that is where are you guys from? Okay, Mollie, after all that's done, are you ready to get into this chapter?
I think so.
We have a really quick rundown. We have the return to the maze from the graveyard. We have Moody taking Harry from the scene. Is he Moody?
Is he?
Ooh. Is he Aleister Moody? Well, we find out in this chapter. We get Moody taking him back to his office. And then we have just a whole bunch of dialogue between him and Harry. And then we get interrupted. And we have a whole, shockingly, the chapter title, The Veritaserum of it all.
Yep.
And we learn some truths about Aleister Moody / not so Aleister Moody.
Yeah.
So we'll get into that conversation here soon. But starting with returning to the maze, just the mass chaos of it all.
Yeah.
Because I imagine the teachers, Fudge, Dumbledore are like, where'd they go?
Yeah.
They just disappeared off the map. And you don't know how long this all took. Did it take a couple of minutes? Did this take like hours?
Right.
Like, how long did this whole thing go for? They could have been like, guys, the 2 Hogwarts champions are gone.
Right.
This is a problem, and we have no idea where they went. Could you imagine like Fudge and Albus just being like, did you turn this into a portkey and not tell me?
Yeah.
No, did you turn it into a portkey and not tell me? Like, what the heck?
What's happening?
What is happening right now?
We're
And
missing people.
You know, the last chapter we talked about Boldy not knowing things.
Yeah.
Albus, I'm sure, is very similar in that, like, he does not enjoy not being clued in.
Yeah.
That's got to be an alarming feeling for him.
Yeah.
But luckily he gets caught up pretty quick. He's very calming in this sense, because Harry's obviously been through... Somehow traumatic doesn't make it seem enough.
Yeah, no.
Watching a friend die
Yeah.
is possibly the least traumatic thing that happens to him here.
Mm-hmm.
His arch nemesis uses his own blood to come back from seemingly the dead.
Yeah.
Then you have this reawakening of Death Eaters, and then you see your mom and dad and your dead friend come back. Like, he's been through some stuff
Yes,
in this
he
night.
has.
So, Dumbledore, I feel like, is very calming in the sense of, like, look, let him go.
Yeah.
Because he brings Cedric's body back, which was one of Cedric's final requests of, like, Harry, can you please do that? Okay, so he brings it back, and he's, like, clutching on for dear life.
Yeah.
Harry, nothing more can be done.
Can't help him now.
Let him go. Stay here.
Yeah.
Stay here, but let him go. And then Dumbledore tries to figure out stuff, and Moody just takes him under his wing and is like, you need to get out of here. Like, let's get you out of this mess.
Yeah.
Takes him up to his office. And, boy, some stuff is figured out in this office.
Yeah.
Moody continuously questions him, like, what happened? Tell me everything. Tell me every detail. The Dark Lord was there. He's returned.
The Dark Lord. The Dark Lord.
That's a good catch, Molly.
The Dark Lord.
That's a great catch.
Oh, you dueled the Dark Lord.
Yep. Great catch, because we notice that those who say the Dark Lord tend to have a certain type of history. You get the boss level, like Dumbledore, who's just like, no, he's Lord Voldemort. No, he's Tom Riddle.
Right.
Like, boss level.
Right.
And then you get the he who must not be named bunch, which is, to be fair, a large bunch.
Yeah.
The vast majority. And then you get these certain people
Yeah.
that use the Dark Lord.
They say it a lot.
Interesting. Interesting indeed, Molly. Interesting indeed. Harry's like, oh, I should have told Dumbledore. Voldy told me that Death Eater is here at Hogwarts. I should have told him that.
Yeah.
It's got to be Karkaroff. It's got to be Igor, right? And Moody's like, definitely not Igor. He fled.
Yeah.
He's gone.
Not him.
It's not him.
Yeah.
And then Moody tells him that it was he who put Harry's name into the Goblet of Fire using a different school's name, which is interesting because, guys, if you've been listening, you know our talk about schools and numbers of people. So that's how Moody did it. He put Harry's name in the goblet under a different school's name as the only participant from that school.
Yeah.
Moody then goes into this whole monologue of everything that he has done.
Whew.
He's scared away anyone who might in any way hurt Harry's chances of winning. That includes turning Draco Malfoy into a ferret.
Yes.
This kid can't bully my champion. I need to take care of this.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. He nudged Hagrid to show Harry the dragons in the first task. He knew in the maze that he'd have a chance to eliminate all of the other champions, literally clearing the way for Harry, because we noticed that Harry's way seems awfully boring.
Yeah.
There's not much there.
It's pretty straightforward.
It's weird, right?
But he still made it through it himself.
Okay, Molly. Can Molly, you can confirm that I have highlighted this next quote in our notes. I have highlighted this. Quote, I don't want to, hold on. I want to get into a position here where I can clearly read and state this. Quote, I also had to contend with your stupidity. End quote. He calls Harry bluntly here stupid. And he's like, I did not fathom just how I would have to work around how dumb you are. But do not underestimate how difficult that was for me. Okay, so I'm ad-libbing a little here. But this is the sense that I'm getting from Moody.
Yes.
Quote, I also had to contend with your stupidity. That is a quote, people. Go up and look at that in the book. He continues on. He told Cedric to open the egg underwater, so Cedric did get some help, but he was a pawn because he figured that Cedric would then tell Harry. So there's that. Then he gave Neville the book with gillyweed in it. The book was in Harry's dorm the entire time.
Yep.
Like, literally, from the first class lesson where he's going through the unforgivable curses. And Neville gets upset by it. That's it. That's that moment.
Yep.
I figured you would ask anybody and everybody for help, and you did not. So now this is a backhanded compliment to Harry.
It is.
Your independence and your what was the other word he used?
Streak of pride and independence.
Yeah, that was it.
That might have ruined all.
Yep. Backhanded compliment.
Yeah.
He doesn't intend it to be a compliment, but
No.
it kind of is. And then he staged a conversation with Professor McGonagall so that Dobby would overhear and immediately help.
Yeah.
Which is clever on his part, except for the fact I have questions. I have questions about this. Here's my problem.
Okay.
If I come up to you and I'm like, hey, Mollie, wouldn't it be convenient if Potter, found out, do you think he's going to use this? I think he should use this. This thing is important. I can't believe he wouldn't use this. And then Harry happens to use that?
Right?
Would you not be suspicious?
Oh, I'd be, yeah, I'd be suspicious.
If I were Professor McGonagall watching the second task take place, and Harry pulls out this thing, and then it's, broadcasted to everybody, oh, ingenious use of gillyweed. If I was McGonagall, I'd be like, I was just talking to Moody about this, just last night.
Right.
What?
Yeah.
That seems odd.
It's very sus.
I'd be like, Moody, how did he get this gillyweed? You were just talking about Harry using this,
right.
And now he's using this.
Yep.
Did you give it to him?
Right.
Or, let me present this to you.
Okay.
Professor McGonagall doesn't care. Just doesn't care.
Yeah.
If it was another student, let's say a Hufflepuff.
Oh.
I shouldn't say a Hufflepuff because there is Cedric Diggory.
Yeah.
Let's say a Ravenclaw.
Yeah.
Let's say a Ravenclaw. And a random Ravenclaw not in McGonagall's house uses the gillyweed that Moody was talking about. I think she might care. But because Harry is Harry Potter and a Gryffindor, bringing glory to her house, I don't think she cares.
Yeah.
She's sloughing that one off as that's a coincidence, right?
Yeah.
It's a coincidence.
Well, I think, I think it's widely known that everybody is getting help.
Mm-hmm.
So she may not care for that reason. I will say, though, I don't know how shocking it would be if a Ravenclaw used gillyweed. They are supposed to be intelligent and
All right.
very...
Let me throw this one at you. If there's a Slytherin using
Slytherin,
Gilliard,
yes.
she is all over that.
She's 1,000% of all
I will
over
give you,
that.
if it was a Gryffindor, Ravenclaw, or Hufflepuff, she probably wouldn't care as much.
Yeah.
Slytherin, however, she
Yeah.
would raise all kinds of questions about
She
that.
would have her eyebrows up. For
Uh-huh.
Sure.
Yeah. I just think she should be a little bit suspect about that.
Yeah.
That's just me.
Yeah.
Anyway, going back to Harry's stupidity. So the next quote he has is, Dumbledore took your idiocy for nobility.
Mm-hmm.
Yet that's Moody calling him dumb twice in the span of like literally a 5-minute conversation. This one, however, I will give you the leeway of, this is a point of view.
Yeah.
This is a point of view matter. It's not necessarily fact. It's his opinion that Harry was an idiot. Although it was also Ron's opinion at the time, too, of, dude, you're an idiot. You tried to be the hero again, didn't you?
Right.
Also, that was Harry's opinion of himself at the time, too, of, I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
So I guess it's the majority thought of, dude, you were dumb.
Yeah.
Fair enough. He continues on with his strategy. He stunned Fleur in the maze. He put the Imperius Curse on Victor Crumb to attack Cedric.
Mm-hmm.
And literally, in this little monologue, and we're not even remotely done with it, in this monologue, he literally lays out how he held Harry's hand through this entire thing, whether directly or indirectly, but cleared the way for Harry to succeed here.
Yeah.
To get to his ultimate goal, which is the return of his Dark Lord.
Mm-hmm.
And we get into some, I think I accurately put, daddy issues.
Oh, 1,000%.
There's some daddy issues at play here.
Yeah.
So, at some point, he literally says the words, he might be, quote, closer than a son,
Yeah.
end quote, to Voldy.
Yeah.
Molly, we're in a this character needs therapy moment again.
I would agree. I think he needs a healthy dose of therapy.
This character probably needed therapy about 15, 20 years ago at least.
Yeah, probably.
As a child, because he does not like his father.
No.
Who is his father, Molly?
Oh man, his father is Barty Crouch Sr.
Yeah, we end up learning that Moody's not Moody.
No.
This is Barty Crouch Jr. He starts breaking down a little bit because he starts asking, like, did he forgive them? Quote, the faithless, worthless bits of filth that came back. Did he forgive them? Mm-hmm. He tells Harry that he made the dark mark at the World Cup, and he was disgusted by those behind masks doing, silly muggle torture while he was doing the real work.
But that was totally on Lucius's, vision board.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
That would be such a morbid vision board. That'd be... Okay, so we're starting to get into the bits of who this really is that's interrogating Harry here. And Harry is just like, dude, I'm injured. I've just been through a whole heck of a night. And this night is only getting weirder with every word you speak. Like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And then, you'll also like this note that I made, Molly. Albus returns.
Yes.
And he is not calm.
No.
He is specifically, very much, not calm.
No.
And I also put down his presence is awesome. And I don't mean like good. And I don't mean like cool. I mean like the true most rudimentary definition of the word awesome. Like just this presence of this is Albus Dumbledore. Like this is the wizard that people revere and respect and fear. Like this is him.
Yes.
Because he pulls no punches. Immediately stuns Moody / Crouch. Mm-hmm. And sets to work. He lets Harry know that, well, Moody would never have taken Harry away from me at that point.
Right. With
such questionable things in the air and who knows and death and whatever. Moody would know that the safest place for Harry is in my care, like by my side.
Right.
So he would have never done that. And then he immediately tells Snape and McGonagall to fetch a house elf and a random dog in a yard. And Harry notes, like, this would be odd. I don't know that I would have blindly just gone and fetched a house elf.
Right.
Or a large black dog in a garden. But Snape and McGonagall just, without question, are like, got it.
Yep, we're on it.
So kudos to them.
Yeah.
For doing that. Albus essentially like frisks the stunned Moody for some keys and finds the flask, which he notes it as ingenious. Mm-hmm. The idea of using Polyjuice Potion in the flask. And this is a compliment to Barty Crouch, because just as we were saying in the last chapter, like Voldemort complimented James Potter, and that doesn't happen very often.
No.
Albus noting like, oh, this is pretty smart.
Yeah.
This was really smart.
Yeah.
And it was so simple, and that's why it's so smart.
Yep.
When Albus says somebody or something is really smart, that's a hell of a compliment.
You take note.
Yeah, that's a heck of a compliment. So, but then he ends up trying all of the keys on this chest in the corner, and it eventually opens up to find the real Mad-Eye Moody down a 10-foot underground shaft, essentially. Yeah. Malnourished, patches of his hair is gone, which he's using for the Polyjuice Potion.
Poor guy.
Yeah, not a great existence.
No.
So when Snape and McGonagall return, McGonagall brought the dog to his office,
yes,
I believe, and told him just to wait there. He'll be there shortly. Snape brought not only the house elf, Winky, but Veritaserum. Mm-hmm. And this opens up a very interesting conversation. You had the story of his escape from Azkaban.
Yep.
With the parent switch. You have Barty Crouch Sr. using, quote, a number of spells to subdue Barty Crouch Jr. You have Bertha figured everything out.
Oh, Bertha.
And Barty Crouch Sr. had to place a very strong memory charm on her. Barty Crouch Jr. actually sitting in the empty seat at the World Cup. He's like this fountain of information.
Yeah.
Like Dumbledore, and kudos to Dumbledore for asking like the right questions, because if I was in this situation, I'd be like, I have a million questions to ask, and I'm not sure which one to ask next.
Yeah.
But he's so like straightforward and pointed and being like, okay, let's flesh this story out more. It's great. Let's pause for a second on the Barty Crouch Jr. sitting in the empty seat at the Quidditch World Cup.
Yes.
He was sitting next to Harry Potter the entire
entire time.
And he was Imperious at the time. And Winky was in charge of keeping him in check. So much so that Barty Crouch Jr. notes that Winky used some of her own magic to bound Barty Crouch Jr. to her.
Yeah.
That's an interesting bit of magic.
That is. And the fact that it's, like, so strong.
Yeah.
And so, like, overpowering of just wizard magic.
Mm-hmm. It's an insight, and we've gotten some glimpses of Dobby's magic before too, and it's just like, seems like people should note this more instead of just like, get me some biscuits from the cabinet or like whatever. Can you wash my clothes today?
Right.
Underutilized a little bit. But anyway, we get the details of Crouch Jr. and Wormtail subduing Moody.
I just have to go back real quick.
Sure.
Thinking about, Barty Crouch Jr. at the World Cup.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you think he wanted, like, all the gadgets that they had there? Like, do you think he was really sad he didn't get, like, the
omnioculars?
Yeah, the omnioculars. And, like, maybe he really wanted a little crumb guy circling around.
See, I think that was a missed opportunity because
right?
They say that, or he says that he was slowly breaking the memory to the Imperious Curse and everything.
Yeah.
And Winky was not noticing it for the longest time, and not noticing it here because she had her eyes closed because she was afraid of heights.
Right.
But I think if you had indulged him in some of those and just placated his mind with something idle, it might have still stuck.
Ooh.
I think if you put a little crumb in his hand under an invisibility cloak and just like watch the thing like walk around his hand, he might have just been like, oh, you know, like this dazed look still.
Right.
And not, instead of watching the World Cup and remembering like, oh, I love this. This is who I am. I'm not that. I'm this.
Right.
And then slowly breaking out of it.
Ooh, yeah.
Distract him. Keep him distracted instead of, you know.
Igniting the fire deep within.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We get the Crouch Jr. and Wormtail subduing Moody, which is noteworthy in that Wormtail was able to assist Crouch Jr. in subduing a talented Auror.
Yeah.
We get the fact that Voldy had communicated with Barty Crouch Jr. We had kind of talked about, like, does Barty Crouch send him updates? Mm-hmm. Specifically, you know what would have been real helpful in the last chapter? Barty Crouch Jr. going like, you know, I had Harry in class today, and he demonstrated real interesting ability. He was able to throw off my Imperious Curse.
Yeah.
I think Voldy might have been like,
ooh,
oh, that's a noteworthy thing. So it wouldn't have maybe shocked him so much.
True.
Clearly he didn't get that memo.
Or Voldy is so overconfident in his abilities, he would have never imagined that could ever happen.
That's true. And that's a valid point, because it's not just any old Imperious Curse.
No.
That's a great point that you made, because Voldy would still think, you're a talented wizard, but you're not me.
Right.
He threw off your Imperious Curse. He didn't throw off mine.
Right. And the other thing I got to wonder, too, because I was thinking back after doing the deep dive into the Imperious Curse and that whole scene, I almost wonder, too, if Barty Crouch Jr. in a way was using that to practice his own magic because he had been without it for so long.
It's a heck of a way to practice magic.
Right?
You're just diving right up in. Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah, you're right.
4th tier, you know.
See if I could still do this.
Right?
Yep.
Yep. So
that's a good point.
Yeah. The darker side of it.
Yeah. So I think clearly this communication went one way and one way only. I think it only went from Voldy to Crouch. I don't think Crouch, at least, and if he was leaving out some major details.
Yeah.
That I don't think Voldy would appreciate later on. We get Crouch talking about, quote unquote, Potter's map that showed him the whole school, which I have questions about later.
Yeah.
And Crouch says that he killed his father, Barty Crouch Sr., Bartemius, transfigured him into a bone, and buried him in Hagrid's front yard.
Dark.
I'm not getting any serial killer vibes at all in any way.
No.
Crouch Jr. is, let's say, not sane.
No.
No. Okay. We're gonna rule on not sane. So there's a lot there in the Veritaserum. Is there anything that like jumps out to you specifically from that whole? I know you mentioned the World Cup, but
yeah, the other thing too is just like that whole like chain of Moody, supposedly Moody, into Barty Crouch Jr.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's terrifying. That whole like change just. Ugh.
I feel like that's a traumatic experience in and of itself.
Yes, there was a lot of trauma happening. So
I mean, you're losing and regrowing a leg.
Yeah.
You're losing and regrowing an eye.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
And I think we've talked about on a previous episode, is probably a Anna and I episode where we gushed about Barty Crouch Jr. But that learning curve is quick.
Yeah.
And I mean, he had to flip this switch very quickly with minimal prep time.
Right.
And he says here that he had the real Alistair Moody under the Imperious Curse, so he could just ask him questions. Hey, what would you do in this scenario? How would you do this? How would you act in this circumstance? Like, he's got to be, objectively speaking, I know I'm gushing, but he's got to be brilliant just to take in all of this information and then be able to like regurgitate it back out.
Yeah. It's a quick study.
And, you know, I mean, Dumbledore did call him that.
He would have made a great actor.
He would have been, yeah. He would have been a stellar actor. Missed opportunities.
So, yeah, and I don't know. I just there was a lot of like good Dumbledore quotes. You know, the one about just like let it go, like there's nothing else you can do here,
Mm-hmm.
and then just, you know, Harry has to go to the hospital wing, and Dumbledore was like, nah, like understanding is the first step to acceptance, and only with acceptance can there be recovery. He needs to know who has put him through the ordeal he has suffered tonight and why.
I have two things to say on that. I'm so happy you brought that quote up. It's a great quote.
Yeah.
So here you have the second instance of someone actually being some semblance of a therapist to Harry. You had Lupin in book 3, and now you have this specific quote from Albus here. And I understand it, and it's a deep quote. And I agree with it. That being said, this is my cynic in me, is the only reason Harry's here is so we, as the narrators, get like we as the readers get this whole like narration.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a plot device to keep Harry in the conversation.
Yeah.
Which is great, but my cynical side aside, I do kind of agree with it.
Right.
The best way to process something is to acknowledge that it happened.
Right.
And be able to process it. And the only way you can process it is by having all of the information.
Right. And you know, facing it head on.
Yes. I'm so glad you brought up that quote. I did not have that quote written down, so thank you for that.
Yeah.
I like the depth of magic here because you're getting a lot of powerful wizards at play. You have Barty Crouch Sr. and Barty Crouch Jr., obviously very talented, with Imperious curses on both sides.
Yeah.
And they're both able to like break it eventually. Mm-hmm. And I think if Barty Crouch Jr. was more grounded, not as insane, and not as hate-filled. He's very, very hate-filled. I think he would recognize that he does have a lot of things in common with his father.
Yeah.
The good and the bad.
Yeah.
I think a lot of his intelligence and ingenuity comes from his father. Mm-hmm. And a lot of his domineering personality traits, a lot of his, I don't want to call it OCD, but a lot of his need for control comes from it. Obviously, there's a lot of psychological stuff at play here because he felt like he never got the attention or the approval of his father.
Or the love.
And now he's looking towards Lord Voldemort for that role. Yeah. Which you could probably, if either one of us were psychiatrists or psychologists, we could do a whole series of episodes on just the daddy issues here.
Oh my God.
There's a lot. But the magic at play, like I said, with Junior and Senior with the Imperious curses, and then you have Senior with the memory charm on Bertha. Yeah. And literally ripping her mind apart, which could only have been broken by Voldemort, which means his memory charm must have been really strong. Yeah. That it took Voldy almost shattering her. He did. He shattered her to break that charm. And then Crouch Jr. and Wormtail subduing Moody. Moody's an accomplished, experienced Auror. That's not an easy feat. No. Which, they don't specify the roles and who did what in that scenario, but the fact that Wormtail's there, I think, continues the idea of he's more capable than people give him credit for, including Voldemort. Everybody underestimates Wormtail, and I think that's his greatest asset. Yeah. Is everybody overlooks me, thinks I'm an idiot, thinks I'm whatever. I can do some stuff. Right. And I could be very valuable. And it's just another example of that. Whether you want to believe, and I know a lot out there are probably believing Crouch Jr. led that assault, and that's fine, and he probably did. Yeah. But Wormtail was present and helped. Mm-hmm. The other thing I want to get your 2 cents on is, he's got the Veritaserum. Snape has returned. Snape and McGonagall have both returned. They're both in this room while this is happening. And he starts talking about Potter's map of the school. You don't think Snape's taking notes on this and being like, that's how Potter does it? Yeah. Ooh. Right?
Good catch, Dan.
Is that not a loophole here?
No, it's a loophole.
Because, I get it. That there's a lot of other stuff here that's much more pressing and important. Still, though, with his
Right.
contempt for Harry, you don't think he would have registered that, wait, Potter has a map of the school?
Right. Duh,
Wait
that's what
a
that was
second.
last year. It
And
wasn't
they-
a piece of paper that insulted me.
And he mentions that interaction where they had the pajama party with Filch, Snape, and Moody Crouch, where that's where he got the map from.
Right.
And Snape has been suspicious of this piece of paper for like years now, for 2 years.
Yeah.
I just like, this seems odd.
Yeah.
Anyway, you think Snape would take note
Right.
of that map. What did you think of his story of escaping from Azkaban?
I thought it was pretty well thought out plan. That the Dementors, that they're blind. There was one healthy and one dying that entered and left.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little shocked that Crouch Sr. would be so willing to just dump his wife there, but especially if he was like that in love with her, but I guess.
If it's his last favor for his wife.
Yeah.
This was his wife's, assuming, I mean, it is his wife's dying wish
Right,
to have her son free.
right.
I have a
Sad.
question. It is very sad, and it's very dark,
Yeah,
and it's a terrible. I'm not sympathizing or empathizing with Barty Crouch Jr., but he has a couple of years here where it is a rough life. He's subjected to life in Azkaban, and then he's subjected to life under an invisibility cloak and the Imperious Curse,
yeah.
being looked over by a house elf. That's tough.
Yeah.
Here's my question, though, about this whole process. And I am nitpicking, and I understand that, and I've nitpicked a lot here the last couple of chapters. But it only works if his mother is taking the Polyjuice potion regularly. That has to be... I'm assuming she's living for at least a couple of days.
Yeah.
That's got to be a decent amount of Polyjuice potion. Number one. Number two... how is she controlling when she dies so she can take like a last sip of the Polyjuice potion so they bury her as Barty Crouch Jr. and she doesn't transform back?
Well, do the Dementors bury her, or is it like the Ministry?
I assume either way. It'd probably be Ministry officials do the burying.
You think so?
Yeah. Do you think the Dementors are out there like with a shovel? Because that'd be a great sight that I
I
will hunt.
would love to see that. I mean, I wouldn't, but
They're just talking to each other as they're like digging this like grave.
yeah.
Jim, can you believe this? This is the third one this week or like whatever. Like,
Man, we gotta do this again.
yeah, how did we get stuck with this job?
Right, they rock, paper, scissors. See who's gonna
Now,
go.
see, this is the tangents that you come to a Mollie and Dan episode for. Right here.
These dark, weird tangents. Oh,
Dementors doing rock, paper, scissors. That's...
yep. Exactly.
No, I don't know. Did she take a big enough dose when she was getting weaker that it would last for several hours? Or
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know how that worked.
Well, then the question I feel like becomes, if you die while you take the while you're on Polyjuice potion,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like, do you die in that form, or does your body go back?
Oh, okay. Do you
know what I mean?
Do you, when you die, you just stay that,
Yeah, that
like
form.
it gets stuck
Yeah.
in a way? That's
Yeah.
interesting. That would be the answer to it. I mean, that'd be an easy answer to it.
That's
Well,
the only thing I can come up with.
you know what? To combat my own nitpicking, I will now rewrite my own headcanon as to that's how it works.
Yes. I have no idea, but that's our guess.
That's what we're going to go with. What else? Do we have anything else from the Veritaserum? I think it's interesting that Barty Crouch Jr. is so obsessed with getting information from Harry that he ends up getting caught.
Oh, yeah.
What would happen if he just left? What if he
Ooh.
just, like, Dark Lord's back? Great. Peace. And then just, like,
Right.
left
Right.
and went to rejoin him.
Right.
Could you imagine, like, a invigorated Barty Crouch Jr. rejoining? Like, if Wormtail rejoining, like, Trelawney's prophecy, if Wormtail came back to his master and had this much of an effect, could Can you imagine like Barty Crouch Jr. returning?
Yeah.
Or he has some real harsh commentary about his fellow Death Eaters. He is not happy about most of them.
No.
It would be really interesting to see him back in the fold. Do you think he would take retribution on a couple of them? Do you think he would ask Voldy for permission? Do you think he would ask Voldy to punish them more? How do you think that conversation would go?
I mean, I definitely don't think he's doing anything on his own without asking Voldy. He straight up just lives and breathes for whatever Voldy has to say.
You don't think he's going after Avery and being like, Imperious cursed, huh? Okay.
No, I really think that he's like just so obsessed with him that he'll do whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna, I mean, I'm sure. But then again, too, like, he thinks he's gonna kill Harry and that the Dark Lord, that Voldy's gonna be happy about it.
That's true, too.
So... it could go either way, maybe.
If he, let's say he kills Harry here. A, very short series. But B...
the end.
And... Hey, it's Crouch Jr. Also, you're dead. The end. Yeah, if he does that, I think he's got a Cruciatus curse coming his way.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't think Voldy would kill him for it.
No.
Because I think he's too useful of a servant.
Yeah, he's too smart.
The most faithful servant.
Yes.
I think we're good on the non-spoilers. Let's take a break, kill the spare, and get back to the spoiler section, which I'm sure we have some stuff to talk about. So...
Yeah.
We will be right back.
Kill the stag!
All right, so we are back with the spoiler section of Chapter 35, Veritaserum. We have some fun conversations coming up in the spoiler section, just some random fun stuff. But first, I'd like to ask Molly, do you have anything from previous chapters or from this chapter that you want to talk about?
Yes. Mundungus.
You want to talk about Mundungus?
Mundungus.
What? What got you thinking about Mundungus?
First of all, any opportunity I have to say Mundungus, I take it.
I can't blame you at all. It's totally fair.
Plus, too, I mean, like, we're talking about Moody and Mundungus. All right.
That's true. Moody and Mundungus do have a history in these books.
All right, now that I'm done killing that. So when you and Elizabeth were talking about the court scene and they brought Bagman in, my thought, for some reason in my head canon, was just like, Bagman is just an upper class version of Mundungus.
Huh. Yes. Yes, he is.
Yeah.
He's like a con man, swindler kind of guy. He's just doing it on the upper levels of society instead of down in the gutters.
Yep.
That's a good comparison. That's a good call.
Yeah.
I like that.
So, yeah.
You don't get much more of Ludo Bagman from here on out.
No, you really don't. It's kind of a bummer, maybe? I don't know.
He's an entertaining guy. I liked reading his chapters that he was in. He was fun.
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh, so you had some Slytherin stuff.
Yeah.
Before we got to the Slytherin stuff, I found this website, which we'll tweet it out, but it's from Game Rant. And they listed, we've had a lot of Death Eater talk, obviously, with the chapter Death Eaters, and now with Barty Crouch Jr. in this chapter saying some not so kind things about some of his fellow Death Eaters. The website Game Rant gave their Death Eater rankings.
The strongest Death Eaters.
The strongest Death Eaters. And they ranked them 1 through 9, right?
Yes.
So count them off to me 9 through 1.
All right. Number 9, Lucius Malfoy.
All righty.
Number 8, the Carrows.
Okay.
And then we got number 7, Raoul. First name, Thorfinn.
Thorfinn Raoul.
Number 6, Walden McNair.
Interesting.
Number 5, Anton Dolohov.
Oh, my boy.
The Dolohov.
My boy.
All right. Number 4, Regulus Black.
Ooh.
And then number 3, the man, the myth, the legend, Barty Crouch Jr. Barty Crouch Fan Club.
We are a part of that.
Whoop, whoop.
We are a part of that.
Number 2, the unhinged Bellatrix Lestrange.
I like this like warm up that you're giving them, like the unhinged, the crazy, the insane.
And then numero uno, number one, Severus Snape, or known as
Snivellus. All right, so this is an interesting list. So I have a couple of issues with it.
Okay.
First of all, let me just get this out of the way really quick. I think that the top three, Snape number one, Bellatrix number two, Barty Crouch Jr. number three, I think that's a fair and accurate top three.
Yeah.
No complaints about those three. In that order. Thorfinn Rowell. I don't know that he's number 7. I don't know that he's there. So we're talking through the series. I think, I know Anna doesn't like this name either very much, but I would put Yaxley ahead of Rowell. And again, it's been a minute since I've read the books, and I know he has moments in the 6th and 7th books. So let's get there and fully immerse ourselves in the accomplishments of Thorfinn Rowell. But from my recollections, he usually screws up a lot. So I'm not really high on the Thorfinn Rowell bandwagon there. Lucius at number 9 is fine. The Caros do end up having a pretty big role, so I get their position at number 8. McNair, I definitely get that. He's like literal henchman assassin.
Yeah.
Here's where I disagree. I would put Dolohov at 4. And I would have Regulus at 5.
Interesting.
I would switch the two. And I understand Regulus. He has... It's a big moment. Don't mistake me for underplaying his role in the series, because it's a massive role that he has.
Yeah.
My goodness. His story set the Harry Potter fan base aflame. R.A.B. Who's R.A.B.? Oh my gosh. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Like, that was all you could find on chat rooms for forever. Until it was finally revealed that it's Regulus Arcturus Black. And obviously he discovered the secret of the Horcruxes, and he tried to destroy one himself, and he died trying to destroy one. He failed in destroying one, but he also got it out of the cave.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously his accomplishments are profound. Dolohov just has, while each of them are less significant, he just has more of them. Specifically, I think in that they describe him getting a shot in on Moody in the Department of Mysteries, taking Sirius and Harry to repel him. In the Battle of Hogwarts, he ends up fighting multiple people at once. He's the one that ends up killing Remus Lupin, which is no small feat for a couple of different reasons. He also gets a lick in on Hagrid. I think he's one of the few... Is he one of the few people that actually gets a spell to hit Hagrid in one way? I think
so.
And then the person that takes down Dolohov is Flitwick, is my boy Flitwick, who's the most accomplished duelist at Hogwarts. Thank you very much, Ravenclaws. We'll get more Dolohov, despite Anna's repeated attempts to
I'm not going to lie, I'm on Anna's team. I think that is a weird choice, Dan.
You think that's why?
Yes.
Okay, what are you coming at me with for the counter?
Okay, so yeah, he's good at dueling. He's had some hits on people. But Regulus Black? So smart. He figured out that stuff. Did Dolohov? No. He's just doing whatever Voldy tells him to do. Where we got Regulus Black, he's got some brains behind him. He's going to be able to figure things out. He's going to help Voldy strategize, if we're taking it that direction.
All right. Molly, you're forcing my hand here. You're forcing my hand. I got to pull out technicalities now. And the technicalities are, what does the top of that article say? Strongest. And I think Snape can obviously hold his own in a duel. I think Bellatrix can obviously hold her own in a duel. Barty Crouch Jr., I think, is... my goodness, he's able to do so much on such slim notice. And plus, he's outfoxed Moody directly.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he's been able to keep Moody captive this entire time. Dolohov, and if you really want to go further with it, Dolohov and McNair are like straight up assassins for, like, their job is to end you. Like, and they're good at it. They're very good at it. I'm just saying. Just saying. I guess to be fair to you, we don't know much more about Regulus Black. We know that obviously he's got a famous last name from a prominent wizarding family. Obviously, we know a ton about his brother Sirius. But other than that, we don't really know a whole lot about Regulus. I think he was in the Slug Club. He was in the Slug Club, so he was a gifted wizard, at least enough that Slughorn took an interest in him.
Well, he was like Slughorn's favorite student. I feel like that says something.
Talented dude.
Yeah.
And obviously, if Voldemort trusted Regulus enough to have his house elf hide the locket, or to help hide the locket,
yeah,
that says a lot.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not tossing Regulus off the list here. I'm not, like, erasing his name. I'm just flipping 1 and 2 around. You have no objections to Rowell being, like, pushed back on the list.
I mean, I don't know enough about Rowell. And that's why I would say I'm just going to go with what I know.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Say.
We will have more Death Eater talk as they become much more prominent fixtures in this story.
Anna, help me out. Help me out, Anna.
Oh, gosh. I'm sure she will love to yell at me for it. Anyway, I have been alerted that Mollie, our Hufflepuff, has a Slytherin deep dive that she wants to give.
I do. So during my deep dives of the I can't ever say that.
Priori Incantatum.
Yes, thank you, Dan.
You're welcome.
Pronunciations are hard for me. I found on the Wizarding World website a history of notable Slytherin wands, and it's pretty cool. It talks about some of the last spells that some of the famous Slytherins have used.
That's cool.
So it talks about Snape. It talks about Bellatrix. It talks about Draco. And it actually goes a little bit into Salazar Slytherin.
Cool.
So,
What's it say about the spells?
So Severus, the last spells that he has been known to use, that he would use, was Expelliarmus, Avada Kedavra, yeah, Circum Sempra, and the Patronus Charm.
Interesting that one of Snape's final spells is Expelliarmus.
Yes, I know.
That
is interesting.
It's not meaningful at all in any way, shape, or form.
No, and the fact that it's yeah.
Mm-hmm. And he taught it to Harry to begin with.
Yeah, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
We got Bellatrix. So, obviously, the curse that hit Sirius, the Cruciatus Curse, and the Cruciatus Curse. She's very talented with
the Cruciatus Curse.
Yes.
She enjoys it, she likes it, she uses it.
Yep. She even gives Harry advice on how to use it.
That's true, she does. That's actually a really cool scene.
Yeah. You gotta mean it. Then we got Draco. And his is Expelliarmus, Locomotor Mortis. I'm probably butchering these names of the spells, so I apologize. And then Serpent Sorcia. Yeah, that's right.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then with Salazar, they didn't really go into much detail. They just mainly talk about his wand. That's pretty much...
What do they say about his wand?
Not a whole lot of nice things.
Not a whole lot of nice things?
Not a whole lot of nice things.
A lot of torturing, a lot of killing?
Yeah, and his wand actually wasn't just used by him. It has been passed down the Slytherin family line for many years. So the wand itself seemed to change over time depending upon its master, which I think is pretty...
Wait, the wand itself?
Yeah. So, going into the whole wand lore, whether or not, like, the master of the wand has an effect on the wand, so, and whether or not the wand kind of, like...
Oh, bends to the will of that person?
Yeah, bends to the will. So The wand itself seemed to change over time depending on its master.
That almost made me think of, like, literally the look
Yeah.
of the wand. Or
Yeah.
the, like, if they liked a more curved handle, it would curve to it. Or a little, like, more...
Yeah. That would be kind of
interesting.
cool. Yeah.
So then, would it have been passed down to the Gaunts?
It eventually came into the possession of Islet Sayre. I think I'm saying that right.
Okay.
I don't know. Who turned out to be one of the more virtuous members of the Slytherin's bloodline. So all of a sudden, Salazar's wand went from torturing muggles to saving lives and doing good, as Islet forged a new life for herself in America after years of torturous activities, and the wand was buried and grew into a snakewood tree with powerful healing powers.
So Salazar Slytherin's wand ends up being, for lack of a better term, demagicized. Like, the magic was put to sleep, was the verbiage.
Basically.
Buried, and ended up growing into a snakewood tree.
That heals.
In America?
Yes.
Interesting. You know, I'm certain that, let's say 200 years from now, somebody's going to be reading this book as though it was factual.
Ooh, yeah.
And we'll be watching a History Channel show on people trying to find the Salazar Slytherin snakewood tree.
I would love that. Please let that happen.
Speaking of shows, really quick, I know we're running long on the full episode here, but speaking of shows, I wanted to get your opinion on the HBO series.
I'm excited.
Yeah?
I am excited. I was actually just talking to somebody about this on my way here. My fiance, actually, who really doesn't know a lot about Harry Potter, but we'll forgive him for that. But
You've also played Hogwarts Legacy. I haven't played that yet. I know it's been out for a while, and I want to play it so bad.
It's
When
good.
can I come live at your place for a while and play it?
So I've only gotten a little bit into it because, again, my wonderful fiance Bill bought it for his computer, so I only get to really play it when I'm at his house.
Flaws.
So, yeah.
So when can I come live with your fiance for a while to play it? No, the HBO series. We're getting sidetracked.
Yeah, so anyways, as we do.
Yeah, as we do often.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited. I think it's going to be, I'm excited that it's going to be a series. That we don't have to deal with everything being jam-packed into like a 2-3 hour movie.
Mm-hmm.
Bill actually brought up a pretty interesting question. And he asked if I thought that any of the old characters would make any kind of like appearances. And I don't know.
I had one thought. I don't know if you've heard it, but I was with Anna, and my thought is, since this will take like a decade to produce and put out, a lot can happen in a decade.
Mm-hmm.
JK can stay involved with it, can not stay involved with it. Opinions can shift, can change. Hers, other people's, whatever. Things can change in 10 years. That's what I'm saying. So the original trio, I'm just throwing this out there. What if the original trio came back in the epilogue scene as themselves in their 40-year-old states as the older trio?
Yeah.
And that was the return. They only get one scene, but it is a scene.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
That'd be pretty cool.
I would be
That'd be
down
pretty
for
cool.
that. Yeah.
The more I thought about it, I like the idea of the series.
I do.
And I get the complaints about, it's too soon, because I agree, it is too soon. I think you could probably do this, another 5-10 years from now and still be fine.
Yeah.
It's a little soon after the movies. But as much as I loved the casting of the original movies, because some of the casting is flawless.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm not one of the people that's automatically against new people taking on the roles and making it their own.
Yeah.
Just because Helena Bonham Carter played Bellatrix amazingly well doesn't mean someone else can't.
Right.
Or Alan Rickman with Snape or whatever.
Right.
Other people can't act well.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just have to divorce yourself from this is the only person to ever do this and will,
Yeah.
But I think I'm putting my trust in HBO.
Yeah.
And if they allow HBO to do it the way they want to do it creatively, it could be really good.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying like go full Game of Thrones with it, where there needs to be like violence and gore. I'm not saying it's going to go there. I think HBO could do they could do a darker version.
Yeah.
Especially like once you get halfway through Chamber of Secrets.
Yeah.
And you start getting into the darker sides of magic. I'm not saying like make it gory or whatever, but there's room there. And I think HBO can do like a really good job. It also depends on who you're playing this to. I'm assuming because it's on HBO, you're targeting our level of audience, the ones that grew up with it.
I agree.
And you're not targeting children
No.
on HBO. So if you're targeting a more mature audience, maybe you do make it a little bit more mature. Yeah. Maybe Peeves does say some rude stuff. Maybe he does, because he does.
Oh, yeah.
So, maybe.
Yeah.
I think that's within the realm of possibility. So I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
I understand the backlash, and that's all warranted. And I would prefer that JK does not get an executive producer credit.
Yeah.
And I would prefer that she's not involved with it, which is why I put forth our application as Hogwarts a podcast to keep the sanctity and the spirit of Harry Potter alive in this new series.
And I think that they should put a lot of our good ideas in there, Dan, about Lucius Malfoy making paper mache.
Just the scene of him collaging is...
God, I just want to see some of these things so badly.
Just some paper clips that he sends Draco of like Harry Potter articles.
Exactly.
Draco, did you see this?
Yes. Yes.
I can't wait.
It's going to be good. Yeah. No, I think it'll be fun. I think it'll be cool to see it in a different way with different characters. Not saying that the old ones weren't great, the actors and everything. It's like when they've done Batman over and over again.
Yeah.
It'll just be a new take on it. And I'm excited to see where it goes. And thankfully, we know how it ends. We know how it ends.
The books are written.
The books are written.
There is a full story.
There is not just fan service hopefully being done, like in the Fantastic Beasts movies.
Yeah.
And just pure chaos, The story has already been written, so we're all okay.
I don't know what you're alluding to on stories not being written, yet I'm still finishing the series, Game of Thrones. I don't understand. And with a shot at Game of Thrones, we will end the podcast for the day. Thank you all for listening. Let us know what you think on all of these things that we've thrown at you today. Let us know your Death Eater strength rankings.
Yeah.
Let us know if you would put Delahoff in the top 4, like I do.
No.
He's certainly deserving of top 5, regardless of what anyone says. I don't care. Anyway, for Mollie, I'm Dan. Thank you so much for listening. Let us know, interact with us on Spotify, on Twitter, on Instagram, at HogwartsAPod. We really appreciate all of the listens, all of the comments, reviews, likes, shares. It all helps the podcast grow. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you for listening to Hogwarts, a podcast. If you like what you've heard, please click the subscribe button on your preferred podcasting app and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at HogwartsAPod.